Only 0.5%, less than 1% of all IT projects are truly successful. Just think about these numbers. Only 1 in 200 projects delivered the intended benefits on time and within budget. Interestingly, there is a reverse statistic as well. Projects that succeeded had one thing in common. They reported that they worked closely with subject matter experts and project sponsors. And as you know, there are a lot of people around the project who have critical skills and knowledge to help or impede the project. That's why it's critical that a project manager controls all these people and organizations. And no surprise that at the top of my list of tools that lead to project success is the stakeholder register. The term project stakeholders means people important to the project who have some leverage on it. The project stakeholder is a tool that helps you identify all these project stakeholders, and usually it's a spreadsheet. After you identified all the stakeholders, you must collect all the information about the impact on the project. And then, based on this information, you develop an engagement plan for each stakeholder. This way, a project manager tries to ensure that stakeholders either help your project or at least they don't harm it. But why is it so important to know all your stakeholders on an IT project? You must remember this. Each stakeholder will have requirements for your product or service, project management approach, or business interactions with the customer. That's why if you don't collect these requirements, they will pop up in the middle of the project execution, and you will have to include those requirements in your project, and usually it means additional work, delays, or serious risks. Second, it's very uncommon when you have a project team that possesses all the required knowledge and skills to meet your customers' business objectives. That's why you tap into the knowledge and experience of all possible experts available in your organization. And most organizations are built with this shared knowledge pool in mind. So, a stakeholder register is a critical tool for project success. But take a second look at these statistics, and do you see a caveat here? If you highlighted the intended benefits words, you are a top project manager. Because it means only one project achieved the project's objectives. Unfortunately, many IT projects don't even have a cohesive business objective. Project owners just want to create a product or service that will somehow fit into their business processes. For example, they spend $500,000 on a new application, but they don't know how they're going to get a return on the investment. So, do you see a problem here? Because often project owners and project managers believe that there is only one path to project objectives. There is only one set of features, one set of work that will lead us to the desired outcome. But in the real world, it's never true. And what's more important is that if you don't have a clear objectives, stakeholders may try to drive the project into different directions that they need. For example, a project owner wants to release a quick update to fix an annoying defect in the application. But additionally, the company's CTO jumps in and insists on updating the underlying technology to future-proof the product. So, should you allow the CTO to add extra work to the project? Well, it depends. If I say that every day we lose $5,000 because of that annoying defect, most probably we should not add anything else to the project. That's why second on my list is the project chart. Usually this is a simple document that outlines high-level information about the project. Specifically, as a project manager, you are interested in business objectives, high-level requirements and scope as known at the start of the project. Additionally, limitations like certain deadline, available budget, or capabilities and functionality that are required for the project success. But there is another problem in the IT industry. Because quite often projects are endless and we do one release after another, never stopping to consider the current business objective. That's why it's even more important to set these artificial checkpoints for the ongoing product development. For each release, you need to have an underlying business objective. A project charter may be a formal document, but just collecting this information will help you increase your chances of project success. By the way, I'll leave you links to my templates and additional resources about all these tools that I mentioned in this video. You can find them in the description below. But have you ever wondered why IT project management is different from other industries? And by the way, that's a common interview question. The answer is simple. All IT projects have a lot of uncertainty and risks in them. First of all, we have very high-level risks, like no one ever did this before and no one knows how to do it, so we need to invent a solution. Second, you may have a solution, but available technologies may not work with one another to implement this solution. Third, you will have complex dependencies between different components of your product. And that's just the specifics of the industry, because on top of that, you will have all the typical risks that any project encounters. For example, lack of resources, poor requirements, delays, sick leaves, and so on. That's why no IT project can be successful without a risk register. But I almost hear lots of people there screaming. But in the IT industry we use Scrum or Kanban. There is no space for risk register in the agile frameworks. To this I'll just say, if you want to be a great IT project manager, risk management is non-negotiable. And it doesn't matter what framework or approach you use. Okay, a risk is an event that may or may not happen, but it has a negative impact on your project. For example, there is always a risk that a key team member will get sick and won't be able to finish their tasks on time. And obviously it will lead to a delay. That's why great project managers collect all known risks into a risk register. And after that, they analyze those risks and describe the impact and probability. And the whole idea is that you try to proactively do something to mitigate the impact or probability of known risks. But what will happen if you don't do it? Well, lots of bad stuff will happen unexpectedly for you. And this is where you get in this proverbial firefighting mode, where you try to clean up the mess after the problem has already impacted your project. And you can get my full risk management plan for free, which includes a risk register and all the resources that will help you master risk management. Alright, now let me tell you about one professional project management tool. The fact is that the absence of this tool on a project is often cited as the main reason for failure. But again, many IT project managers ignore it because they don't see its place in Scrum or Kanban. You see, when you develop an app with just one Scrum team, that's kind of entry-level project management. Maybe you don't need this tool in this case, but when a product that you develop has infrastructure, documentation, and components developed by other vendors, and when project management artifacts are mandatory, that's when project management becomes very complex. So in this case, you need to identify and track all required pieces you must create to reach project objectives. And by the way, pause now, and if you have already guessed what I'm going to talk about, say yes in the comments below. So, the correct answer is the work breakdown structure, and it's usually a diagram like this. A WBS shows the final result at the top. Then we break this result down into tangible and verifiable pieces that we need to create. After that, we break down the big pieces into smaller pieces until it's easy for us to manage and control the work required to create those pieces. And a critical note here. There are no work breakdown structure templates for IT projects. Every project will have a unique set of deliverables. So do not use templates that you may find on the internet. It's a recipe for disaster. The fact is, there are a lot of powerful theories and concepts that go into creating a work breakdown structure. So it's not just a fancy visualization of the project scope. So if you want to be a successful project manager, you need to know all the rules and principles of creating a high-quality work breakdown structure. If you want to master project management, I'll leave you a link to an in-depth guide in the description. But why do you need to know all about work breakdown structures? So here's the secret. In complex IT projects, you simply must create a work breakdown structure as a standalone tool. And on smaller projects and in agile environments, you must use the concepts of creating a work breakdown structure to organize your epics and user stories. And this will allow you to ensure you will deliver all the benefits required to reach the business objective. But all these tools are worthless if you don't have time to create and maintain them. That's why you need a tool that will help you organize your work as a project manager. And luckily, I know such a proven tool. This tool will help you to control all the critical tasks on your plate. But what's more important is that it will help you find extra time during your busy week to finish the critical tasks. That's why you need to watch this video next, where I will explain what this tool is, and I'll show you how I use it to lead my projects. And I'll share the productivity system that I developed throughout my whole career. Click the video now and we'll continue our discussion. So, see you there!